Hey everybody, welcome back to Tech Talks with DLC. We're talking about technology that is going to help us with our choir instruction virtually. And so each one of these videos is going to talk about something a little bit different. Right now, I'm going to talk about the iPad Pro, the iPad Pencil, and most of this video will be about the app forScore. Now, I know that it is a big investment, the iPad Pro, but hopefully by the time that I'm done explaining forScore with you, you will be like, I would say 20% of the musicians I know now have gravitated to the dark side with the iPad and the forScore app. Even some of the people that have been the most traditional, I want music in my hand, and I still do. I still prefer to have a hard copy that I can look at, but to be perfectly honest, in the last year or so that I've been using the iPad Pro, it has revolutionized how I read music and how I study and how I rehearse, both in choir and especially now virtually. This has been a true game changer. I highly suggest getting the iPad Pro as opposed to like the 10 inches or the 11 inches. The 12.9-inch is stunning. And it is worth the price change, in my honest opinion, because it is the same size as an octavo. You don't have to zoom in at all for to see any of the notes. There's no change from the note sizes when you open a sheet of music to the note sizes as they come out in the iPad. So I would get it, but you don't need the Wi-Fi cellular. Because you can always hotspot. Most smartphones nowadays have a hotspot, so you can just Wi-Fi into your phone if you're out somewhere that doesn't have Wi-Fi. I would get the 128 gigabyte because most of the things that you're saving now saves into the cloud, Google Drive, iCloud. So you don't need the huge memory unless you just have an enormous budget. And if you can get like your booster club to buy it, definitely get them to buy the iPad. Because it is worthwhile for your program. It is going to significantly increase your instruction, especially online. And then you're going to need this Apple Pencil. Make sure that you get the second generation because that's the one that works with the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. It charges by hooking up to the side, and there's a whole bunch of cool things you can do with it. And it just makes working on forScore so much more. It is just wonderful. So now we're going to go into what the majority of this video is going to be about is forScore. I know that a lot of y'all out there already use forScore. So if you do, awesome. Give me any tips and tricks that y'all know, but these are the ones that I know. And for those of y'all that haven't switched over yet, I'm hoping to convince you with this video because it's pretty epic. And Apple or forScore, if any of y'all want to sponsor me, yeah, I'm down. I'm ready. Okay, so send your free iPads our way. I just unlimited iPads. Just keep them coming. All right, so here we go. This is my iPad, and forScore is an app that you purchase on the Apple Store. And it is like I think I paid $13 for it, but it might be $15 now. But once you buy it, it's yours forever. So it's a one-time fee. It's not like an annual fee, which is ridiculously cheap for this epic of a program. So first, let's start off with its features. Typically, what you do is you touch the top of the iPad, and then your little suitcase or toolbox at the top right-hand corner comes in, and your number one tool to use is Annotate. And this is the tool that almost everybody uses. So you have an unlimited amount of various types of markings. So I can click this red marking, and it's a thin red marking. Orange, then it's orange. If I want something thicker, I can make something thicker. Thinner. I have something that is blue. If I want, a lot of times I have these highlight things so I can see behind what I've highlighted. And so I have all sorts of different colors for different things. Like if I want pink, I'll do pink for key changes, and I'll do orange for time signature changes, and so on and so forth. And the crazy thing is, like, if I don't like any of these markings, I can just click X and then they all disappear. This particular score was already marked up by Rick Biela when he sent it to us with his markings. But if I wanted to make any changes or anything like that, I could create a white, non-transparent thing, and I can kind of white out some of the other stuff that I don't need. So if I didn't want the translation, I could white that out. And I can make this any size I wanted. So I could change the size of it and get a little bit more finesse in it, and so on and so forth. But if I wanted all of his markings back, I would just click clear, and then boom, all the markings are back. And then you can just create. If there's a color on here that you don't like, then you just change the hue, change the size, the saturation, the brightness of it. And you can really get any color just by kind of, and you can figure out how transparent you want it, what you can see through, or if you really wanted to block out things, then I can block out things. Really amazing thing. So the cool thing about this pencil is when, instead of having to tap and then click annotate, with the iPad pencil, it already goes straight to annotate when I tap on. So if I'm in the middle of rehearsal and I'm like, oh man, the alto is really messed up and I need to mark something, I didn't need to tap anything to make that happen. So right now, this is like a blank screen. Oh, the alto's messed up. I mark it and it immediately goes to the last annotation tool that I used. Really phenomenal stuff. And then when I double tap my pencil, boop, boop, like this, it switches to eraser mode, and I can erase what I just did. And that happens a lot for me. Like if I say like, oh, this is measure 5, and then I made like a weird 5, and I just need to erase the back end of it. If I go boop, boop, then I can erase just the last bit of 5. That's still a terrible 5, but I could just start over and, draw a little good 5. And if I double tap, it takes me back to my notation. If I wanted to white out something completely and start and mark in my own markings, like for example, on one of the pages we have an errata with the tenors, and I forgot what page it was on. Probably something like of this page. But if I wanted to, I could white out, I could zoom in, and I could white out this whole section. And then, and I zoom out, and I can white out this whole section. And I could go over here, I could scroll, and I could put in my own staff line. And it's really crazy. I could put in my own staff line, and I could mark it with my own music if I really wanted to. So there's like a ton of things here, but quarter notes and whatnot. And I could put in, there's like a little, and I could put in my quarter notes, but you can play around with that. You can make the size of the quarter notes smaller, bigger, and you can delete things that you did. You can even change the color of the quarter note if you want some fun color. I want some pink quarter notes. I can change it to that, and it will be pink when it comes out, I think, at some point. But you can play around with that. I don't really use these too much, but it is an option, and I can always clear and get rid of any ridiculous markings that I've made so far. The ruler function is kind of cool. So the ruler shows up like this when I turn it on. And I can, for those of y'all that are super OCD, which I know a lot of choir directors are, you can make your highlights straight, however you want to do it. And you can twist your ruler, and you could do vertical stuff where you're like, this is where the time signature changes. And the crazy thing is, during your rehearsal, you can make these markings. It's like, guys, right here, that's where the downbeat is or whatever. But I want y'all to breathe on this quarter rest, and you can use your ruler and make it a really nice line if you're OCD. And you can just turn off the ruler, and again, you can get rid of your stuff. If you did make some really fancy, like quarter note stuff, and you wanted to save it, you could undo that. You could circle or do a square, and then you can copy and paste it. So I could copy it and I could paste it, and I could have two of them there. So that's what that dotted function is. Or I could just, erase all of that. Cool. And then there's the X button, clears everything. These next pages, like especially if I have my ruler out and I'm going and I don't want to keep marking music, I could keep the ruler going per page and it'll be there when I go next page and so on and so forth. This is one of my favorite things about forScore is this layer function. I can, when I click layers, I can get rid of these markings. So what I like to do is I actually like to create a solfege layer, layer 2, and I get rid of this one and I'll just mark in all of my solfege with whatever color, la, la, so, la, ti. And I could do this much nicer if I was if I had it on my lap. But then I could just get rid of the solfege whenever I wanted to, and I could bring it back. And I could write the solfege in for each of the voice parts on that page. And then when I wanted to see that, I don't have to, or I could click the I button and then so on and so forth. So really cool thing about page layers. And the other thing about that is if you do a song multiple years, you can make a layer per year, and you can say like these are my notes from 2012, and now I do it in 2022, and these are my notes from 2022. You can compare, so on and so forth. Really great thing about the annotate function. When you're done, you click done, and all of your markings stay. Cool thing about the markings as well is that when I go to share this, so say I wrote in all my solfege, and I want the students to be able to check their solfege against my solfege, I can click share, and I can share. When I share it as a PDF, they'll get only the score without any of my forScore markings. It'll be the original thing that I had to begin with. If I send them the forSC, they'll only be able to see it if they have an iPad and forScore as well. But the good thing is that if, in a perfect world, all my students would have forScore. I know that some schools have like an iPad for every kid. And so if every kid had forScore and I could share my forScore document, they in turn could manipulate all of my markings. They could turn on and off the layers. They could change the size and the color and all of that good stuff. But so the forSC is a forScore file. But what most of the time that I use is the annotated PDF, meaning that it basically turns into another picture document that is a whatever I colored as orange or yellow or pink in whatever shape, they're going to see that PDF exactly as I see it, but they won't be able to manipulate it. So it's basically like I've marked it with highlighter and pencil and pen, and I hand it to them, and it's all marked up. They won't be able to change anything of my markings or remove any of my markings other than Photoshop. But yeah, annotated PDF, I'll take that up to a Google Drive and I'll share it with them. And sometimes I'll write like the first solfeges of every page, or the first solfeges of every key change, and then require them to write the rest of it, and so on and so forth. So that is super useful there. Links. So right under annotate. So links are bomb. So especially like during musical season. So let's go and find my musical score. So when we did the Titanic piano vocal. This little puppy had over 464 pages. So, I mean, that's a lot of music. It was intense. And so if I needed to go to a particular page, I could just start at the beginning. And what I did was we created a link to every movement. So say I wanted to go to Wake Up number 22. I would click on that link, and then boom, it would take me to page 296. And we are in. And we had their cuts. We wrote their cuts in, and it was just super awesome that way. I could also highlight here on the pages, these are the things that we need to focus on. So I think in the last week before the run, these things that were green highlighted, these were the things that were man, we need to check the parts on those one last time. So this is how you make a link. You click links, and you pick the page that you want to make a link on. So anywhere here. And what we did was we put the center of the circle on, here's one on 3 and then one on 1A and one on 17. So we kind of alternated them so that we could scrunch the links together. But you just kind of pick a spot on the page, and then you just scan. And I kind of had kids do this, but I just you could drag to the page where it's supposed to be. And I had students do this for me. And then this is the page where we end up. So on page 324, when I click on that random blue button right here, it's going to take me to page 324. So I save, boom, that blue button shows up, and there I am on page 324. Phenomenal tool to be able to use for second endings and repeats and jump to the coda. Oh man, this especially as a professional musician, and even when I'm conducting, it's super useful to have that button there, and then boom, it flips all the pages for me to go exactly straight to the coda right when I need it to be. It's a game changer, just the links alone. And then when I want to go back to it, and if I want to delete that, I just click on annotate, and I don't clear. Click on the erase button, and then I can just delete that specific link. So that was annotate, erase button, and then delete that link that you wanted to make. Like links, there are buttons, and buttons are really cool too. Buttons are like links, but you can choose a metronome marking for the metronome to pop up when you click that button. You could have a change of tempo to that metronome marking. You can press or play the audio. You can ask for a specific pitch at that time, and you can figure out what your pitch is that you want. And these are quarter steps. So I want exactly an F. If I click this and save, then it plays me the pitch of an F. Pretty cool stuff. And again, annotate, delete. But the thing that I use buttons for most, I would say, is the open link. And I put a YouTube link to a performance. And once I click this, and as long as I'm on a Wi-Fi or a hotspot, I press it, and then a YouTube video of that performance will pop up. And it's just super fast. It makes it efficient, especially if I'm projecting my screen on virtually and I have a YouTube video, the Voices 8 recording of Eric Whitacre's Sleep. Instead of having to open YouTube, search for that thing, I've already pre-done it. I've clicked the link, and then boom, there I go. So how I do that is before I ever have my class, I have my YouTube link here of the Eric Whitacre Sleep, and I just want to share it, and I just want to copy that link, and then I go back to forScore, and I press paste, save, and I want it to happen right there. So when I click this button, then YouTube opens up for me with Joe Biden doing a ad.
Hello, everyone.
And
something to ask.
And then sleep will happen.
Ad.
So skip that ad. And now sleep is ready to go. The evening. Yeah, isn't that cool? I think that's awesome. Like that's like mind-blowingly cool. All right. So back to forScore. So now that I'm done with that, I'm right back in forScore. Buttons, buttons, buttons. I think that's mostly everything with buttons. If you want some more, there's a ton of videos online about this. But rearrange is really, really important. This allows me to move pages around. So if I wanted to, it will tell me what my original page is, but if I wanted to put page 7 right there, if we're making cuts, I can duplicate it. I can duplicate pages. See like all these cuts that we had. I can actually delete those pages. I can click the X so that when I go from page 33, go straight to page 36. But I think I've made some links there. I can rotate the page. And I can like split the song at that point as well. Many different cool things. I can do 2 page 36s if I wanted. So I can rearrange. I can add more pages in using the rearrange function. And yeah, really cool stuff there. Lots to play around with. Notes, if I'm having rehearsal notes and I just finished rehearsal and I want to remember the things about the song, I can type in a bunch of stuff right here. And I can, and it'll be linked with the song. If I wanted to crop this particular page, I can, for those of y'all that are OCD, you can crop it or you can rotate it in an angle. And they have grid lines, so you can get it absolutely straight for those of y'all that want every single one of your pages to be super, super straight. So there's all that. Crop. I showed you the share functions. Store and services is all about forScore, but here is a scan. You can actually scan. You could take a photo or a screenshot, and then it can show up in your photos. I have random selfies. But I could take a photo of a sheet of music like this and just get it all on one screen. Try to be as steady as you can. And I click done, and I can crop this. And it's a pretty accurate cropping because it's about corners. So I can crop like that, crop it, and then I can make it black and white. And then it turns out into a pretty good page. That's a little tedious. There's another way that I prefer to scan that Ryan Rogers taught me with a different technological device, but that'll be a different tech episode. But you can definitely do it from forScore and from an iPad. It is a little tedious, but the first couple of months that I had forScore and iPad and I didn't have that other scanner, I would just have students scan my music, and it was amazing. For choir council hours, it was great. Okay. And actually, I think a student did all of these buttons for us too. And the cool thing is once one of the students did all the buttons for me on my score, I just ended up sharing my forScore file with my other co-directors, and they ended up having the forScore file. So we just kept updating each other's forScore files. If they would run a musical rehearsal and have cuts and changes to the music, they would mark it on their scores, and then boom, the next day they would share the files with the rest of us, and we had the most updated cuts and any changes that we made to the scores. It really, I can't stress enough what a game changer this is. You can put the piano on, and you can press those buttons while that's happening. You can record yourself and press record and it will record your voice, and you can sing over the pages. And then once you're done, it'll save it into this actual song, into this right there. So you can actually play it back. So you can record your rehearsals. When you're face to face, you can record your choir rehearsals, and then you can delete it after you've listened to it, and you can listen to it while looking at your score. Pretty cool stuff there, and it's linked with whatever score you were looking at that moment. Before I go to perform. So this is a really cool thing. When you click perform, it makes it much harder to turn too many pages, which is can be a problem when you're singing and you double click accidentally and you turn 2 pages. So when you're in perform mode, you see this little X at the top right. It won't let you turn 2 pages at one time, and it won't let you accidentally go backwards unless you click on the bottom left hand of the screen. So it's very specific where you click if you want to go backwards. But everywhere else, when I click it, like 90% of the screen will take me 1 page forward, which is the perform mode. Very, very effective tool. Yeah, so I think I'm going to switch over to the tracks. So if I go over to my musical, which this is on, and I click on the little arrow next to it, I'll see the piano vocal track that I just recorded. So I can click delete, and I can delete that recording that I made. But more importantly, like when we go to this Allstate stuff here, let's see, SAC Allstate, and I go to the Mozart, I can upload the tracks, the Allstate tracks, right into the score. So really, really cool. And I can do multiple of them. So here's the tenor track, the mix down, and the piano, all of the Dies Irae ready to go. And so I can press play.
Dies Irae
and
from Requiem by Mozart. One, two, 3, 4.
I use that speed up and slow down feature a lot. I'll slow it down a little bit, or I can slow it down half. I usually use the 3/4 slow down, and then I can even speed it up if, like, for sleep, like Eric were to sleep that's slow. I'll speed it up and make them sing it fast just to get that airflow moving, and then I'll bring it back to a normal tempo. And especially it's instantaneous speed ups and instantaneous slowdowns. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. I can even change the semitones. I can change the tuning of it. If I've got a particular piece that was on a CD or a cassette tape and I've recorded it into a digital file, sometimes it's a little warped and it's a little under pitch, and I can actually change the cents and the semitones. Semitones is 50 cents, and then I can do anywhere in between 50. I can do quarter steps until it's absolutely in tune. And I love that. Here's another really fancy feature that I love, is that I can time out the page turns. So I can click this button, and it'll memorize the times that the page turns. So watch. So it's going to begin.
Dies Irae from Requiem by Mozart. One, 2, 3, 4.
And when I go back and rewind it, it turns the pages for me. So I'm not clicking my Bluetooth pedal. I'm not touching it at all. I'm just pressing play,
Dies Irae
and
from
it's gonna
Requiem by
turn the pages
Mozart.
for me. Look, my feet are up. I'm not pressing my Bluetooth pedal at all.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Turn the page. Yeah. It's the coolest thing. So what I love about that feature is that when we were teaching face to face, I would be in a sectional. I would have my iPad on my piano, and I would be playing this through the Bluetooth speakers in the choir room. All the kids would be singing, and I would walk around listening to each of the individual kids, giving them feedback. And when I turned back to the piano, it was on the page that the music was on. I mean, it's just really cool. I mean, how that's like nerdy and cool. And now in the virtual scenario, I can be conducting. I could be looking at the various gallery modes, looking at everybody's videos. I could be typing and giving comments to them, and it'll be turning the pages, and the kids can see the page turns, and the kids can see all of my markings while the track is going in real time. Like, come on, like that's worth every penny of this software. There are just a couple more little things here on Zoom. There is a metronome function, so you can play around with that. But you can hear both visible and audible. You can change the tempo marking, or you can tap. This is my favorite thing. So when you tap it, like you thought D S E, now I know that it was 133. And maybe you needed to go a little faster or a little slower, and you can adjust. And you now know as a conductor what tempo you were thinking in your head. You just tap it, and it tells you what your tempo is. You can get a pitch. You can choose between clarinet, a tone, or piano. I prefer piano. And then I love this tuner apps right here, and you can sing D, little sharp. I'm a tenor. Awesome. So I mean, just a wonderful, wonderful app. And I think that's everything. You obviously can make folders for all of your music, and you can be as organized or as unorganized as you can. Here's when we were doing Come to the Woods, and I had my solfege, and I had my key changes as a different color. And so trying to explain that to kids was really, really quite tough. But when I was able to share an annotated PDF with them, then it was much, much easier. So I was able to show them, like, okay, in this section, we're going to be in A major, and then now we're going to be in B flat major, and this is your solfege. And it made a huge difference in how we rehearse this piece, and changing tonalities, and just forScore in general, and being able to mark, being able to say, like, projecting this on our overhead projector, and I'm just saying, like, tenors, right here, you guys are switching back and forth, and I can highlight it, and they could see it on that page. That has transferred into the virtual scene. It has made a huge difference as I'm teaching virtually, that the kids know what page we're on, what measure we're on, exactly how to mark the decrescendo. Guys, check out this decrescendo right here. Don't forget it. Please mark it. Please pay attention to the piano part that happens right here. It gives you your notes that you're singing on the descending scale in purple and marking it in purple. It's fascinating that they can see that, because before I would just audibly say that and then hope for the best. But now there's no room for error. They just have to be paying attention, which is still room for error, but you know what I mean? So yeah, get your booster clubs to buy an iPad Pro, or like us, we have our booster club bought an iPad Pro for us. We're extremely blessed. We have a phenomenal parent support system at our school. But Audrey at the middle school level, she needs one to start this next year too. And I think we're just going to bite the bullet and buy another one, because it's worthwhile. It has, I think, and will continue to revolutionize how we study and perform and rehearse with scores. I just don't think there's any going back at this point. It's so epic. Okay, I hope that helps. If you have any questions about forScore, I can try to answer those. If there's things that I left out, put them in the comments below. Help me become a better teacher. I wish you guys all the best. Catch you later.